All right, welcome back to another Tool World podcast. I'm your host, David Jew, and I'm here with Master Jew.
How's it going there, Mr. Jew?
It's going okay. It's going great.
Great. 2022.
Pretty far into it already.
Yeah, it's going okay.
Yeah, it's going okay. Thought we'd take it back, and we're going to talk a little bit about your favors with instructors. Do you do favors? I think a lot of people have stories when they're younger, like, oh, our instructor made us like clean the studio.
Yeah.
When they were younger, or sometimes you have people like, oh, the teenagers taught the class. And then also on top of that, do you accept gifts as an instructor?
Sure.
So why don't we start with like the favors part?
Favors.
I think that's it.
You know, it's kind of interesting because sometimes you do talk to like higher ranks or maybe black belts, and they just recall what it was like to be a color belt. And maybe it's not quite as extreme as it might sound like. Like sometimes you have children, and although it seems harsh on them, but they think they kind of over exaggerate maybe sometimes. I'm not sure if that's true or not true, but that's what they remember.
Right.
And I kind of wonder if that's also true with people in general. As a lower rank, I remember, and I said this in class, I remember having to clean the bathroom, or maybe mopping the floor, or vacuum the studio as a low rank, or even maybe leading a class as a blue belt. And I do think that sometimes that does happen, right? How much of it did that individual do that? Maybe once in a while, or maybe it was a lot. That's hard to say, but we kind of remember those things.
Right.
And I mean, I do remember some of that. I just don't remember if it was a lot or not a lot.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
And I do have students that come from different schools or different instructors, and I remember one black belt said, "Oh, what are the requirements? Because at the last school I did I always had to teach class, and I didn't get to train." I says, "Oh, don't worry, just line up. You're not going to be teaching any classes." And I totally understand, because sometimes as an instructor it can be a lot. You can get tired, or you can get burned out, or I don't know, maybe lazy, whatever it is.
So is it wrong to ask someone to do that?
Sometimes you need help, I think, right? And you know, you just need help, and people should do things because they want to do it. But if you start to lean towards where you're kind of demanding it, or make it a requirement, and we do have requirements like come and assist, right? So why do you do that? Why do you make things required? Well, if you don't make certain things requirements, then you may not get people to do it. Yeah. Right? So you kind of have to light the fire a little bit, or it's a requirement. Because it's kind of like I was saying about tuitions, you know. Hey, if you like the class, why don't you just drop some money in the jar there and see how that goes? Well, that may not pay the bills.
Right.
The idea is good. Oh, if you like, oh yeah, that was an awesome class. You get that sometimes. Yeah. Well, that was an awesome. Yeah. Why don't you drop $100 bill over there? So anyway, that's. I think that it's. Is it okay? You can ask for help, and if people want to help, then they can. Sometimes people don't even realize that you need help. Right. And sometimes you just need it. Right? So, I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I think as long as you set the expectations there, like I think our expectations with Fourth Dons is they got to have a class. They got to be teaching a little bit. And so that expectation's already made, right? Yeah. Right. And so it's not like you're asking too much, because they're meeting that expectation because of the rank. Right. Right. And so for like a color belts too, kind of same thing. They already know what the requirements are, so the expectation is here, so they just have to meet it.
As long as you lay out what you expect, right? Right. But sometimes you do need a favor. Right. Yeah. Like, oh wait, I'm not feeling good. Hey, first degree, can you lead the class? I got to go lie down for a second, or I'm going to sit down. I guess that's okay. But if you did that a lot, then I think it's maybe you're overstepping it.
Yeah.
And the other thing too is when you ask for a favor or someone offers to do something, is that there shouldn't be any strings attached,
Mm-hmm.
right? In other words, if I ask someone to lead a class, and I don't want it to ever come back and says, "Well, you never taught me anything. I just led your class."
Right.
And I think that happens
Mm-hmm.
in some situations where, you know, the instructor kind of depends on that individual to do those kind of things.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So no strings attached to it. If you're helping out, don't expect anything else. If you say yes, yes sir, you know,
Mm-hmm.
don't expect that it has to be reciprocated. Don't hold it over them. Oh, I helped you out so much that I should be promoted. Okay, that's kind of like blackmailing in a way.
Yeah, that's true. How about like gifts?
Yeah, same. I think the same. Should we accept gift? You know, if someone gives it to me, I definitely would say, no, you don't need to do that. But then also, it's kind of polite to accept that because maybe they want to give something to you out of their, you know.
Your heart, yeah.
Yeah, and so kind of catch-22. But as long as there's no attachment to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I give you something, don't expect a favor back.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but
Yeah.
we tend to do that anyway, you know. You scratch my back, I scratch your back. There is a limitation as long as it's within reason, right? As long as it doesn't seem like it's not fair.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And that's difficult though,
Mm-hmm.
because what somebody thinks is fair may not think it's not fair.
Right.
It's all perception of that individual.
I feel like things are always changing. And so when you go back to look at how you were as a younger rank, how has times changed to nowadays when it comes to asking like favors or doing things for your instructors?
Well, I would say for myself, I can't say for anybody else, but for myself, going through the ranks and hearing about people saying, other black belts or even as a color belt, as they were explaining, oh, my instructor made me do this and that's why I left and I did this, and I said, oh, okay, yeah. It has made me think a little bit about that, and so I tend not to ask like that. Yeah, if I'm going to do a class, then I better do
Be
the
there,
class.
yeah.
Be there, right?
Right.
I don't expect someone to clean the studio.
Mhm.
That's not their task, unless
Right.
it was their
Set out,
task,
yeah, right.
That's okay, but I don't demand it,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't expect it. So if I grab, let's say, a mop and I'm start mopping the floor,
Mm-hmm.
I'm 8th degree. I still do it,
Yeah.
right? I'm not expecting anyone to do it. Now, if someone, let's say, a 4th degree came up and says, "Sir, can I take that?"
Mm-hmm.
So I can say, "No, that's okay." But if they insist on doing it, okay, yeah, you do it,
Yeah.
right? But they have to realize there's no strings attached to that. They should just do it out of the goodness of their heart. And it's kind of interesting too, because some of those things black belts or students don't realize. Oh, there's certain things that need to be done, but they don't realize it, right? The windows need to be wiped. Most students go, "Oh, the window needs to be wiped, so let me go wipe it."
Yeah.
Only person that kind of cares about that kind of stuff is probably the school owner,
Right, yeah.
Oh, it's dusty, let me go mop that. Now sometimes it is bad, right? And sometimes like, oh, there's some dirt or something, and you're just too busy, and you can't go clean that up, and you got to go do that.
Yeah.
And so you gotta say, "Hey, 1st degree, can you go mop that," or whatever it is, right? And so you do need that assistant, but with that black belt go, "Oh, look, there's some dirt over there, let me go clean it up." Most people don't.
Yeah.
They don't even think about it, right? Why is that? Why don't they think of those things? I guess it's the same as at home. I throw my stuff around and then, "Hey, go put that away." Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm tired of you laying it around. Oh yeah, that's right. Let me go put that away.
Yeah. Well, I just think maybe they just don't want to say anything, or they don't really feel the need to say something. Like it'll get done.
It'll get done.
And get
By
done
somebody,
eventually.
right?
Somebody will do it. Yeah.
Master G will do it.
All right. Well, any other thoughts on gifts, favors?
Gifts, favor. Yeah. I'm accepting gifts. Yeah, I'll give you 5 knuckles. How's that?
Yeah, well, thanks for jumping into another Tool World podcast. Let us know your thoughts on gifts and favors. And don't forget to be safe.
Keep training.
And we'll see you guys next time.
Pick one.